be in a recession. In my view, the employment rate is still one of the lowest we've had in history. It's in the 3.6 area. We still find ourselves with people investing. My hope is we go from this rapid growth to steady growth. And we'll see some coming down. But I don't think we're going to, God willing, I don't think we're going to see a recession.
And what is exactly the White House's definition of a recession?
Again, I'm not going to define it from here. I'm just going to leave it to the NBER, as we have stated, how they define recession.
Until they have determined one.
I'm just saying that we're just not going to define it. We use the indicators that the NBER, the National Bureau of Economic Research, has used. We've mentioned that a few times.
GDP will be closely watched. A common definition of recession is 2 negative quarters of GDP growth, or at least that's something that's been true in past recessions. When we've seen that, there has usually been a recession. And many economists expect second quarter GDP to be negative. First quarter GDP was negative.
Is the White House trying to change the common definition of a recession because next Thursday the GDP numbers coming out are going to show that we've been in a recession?
So let me say this, the strength of our labor market along with the other economic factors is what we generally see in a recession, or even what is not what we generally see in a recession or even a pre-recession.
Saw some stuff that was talking about the economic growth numbers for 2023 and how good of a year it was. Of course, that was the initial reporting. That didn't take in. If you went and look at their numbers, it didn't actually take into account any of the multiple times throughout the course of the year, literally every single month, where they went back and
revise the numbers.
Yeah, they always revise them.
They actually they went back and revised the numbers again. Like they've done a second pass, and they were down like 400,000 less than what they were saying even before. So it's like, geez.
Yeah, they always go back and revise it, and then
nobody pays up.
Yeah, nobody says anything about it.
Well, the really funny thing was, like, every single month they came in way below expectation, and they're like, "Oh, but it's okay. We're still seeing growth." Like, and then they would come back 2 weeks later and revise it down, but nobody ever talked about it. Yeah. Johnny and I tracked that on Peddling Fiction, like, throughout the course of the year. Like, every time they would come back and revise it, it's like, oh, here's another revision. And if you go and look at the year, like, here's the projection, here's the actual, and then here's the revision after the actual, or afterwards. It's like, huh. Oh.
And they've actually
the White House is still, like, they're still using what they said was the actual. Yeah. Like they keep on using that number, even though I don't know, the department or whatever revises it. Like, the White House is still saying that it's the millions of.
They're still running with the numbers that they put out, not the revised numbers.
Biden just came out and said that they have the best economy that we have ever had as a country. Like, he literally said that, like, last week.
He was talking about, again, like, yes, what was it?
I mean, if he means for Pfizer and for BlackRock, yes, it has been their best years ever. But for the rest of us, no.
Well, you know who did have their best year ever? Males becoming Republican.
Oh, yeah.
This is pretty impressive. Will young men vote Democrat in 2024? The percent identifying as Republican, including leaners, it has progressively gone up over the years, and 2023 hit roughly 50%. On top of that, and this is David Hogg says, we've got to start doing work to address the significant and growing number of young men leaving the Democratic Party. I think a number of things have caused this. Trump's strongman energy and masculinity, a growing education gap between men and women, right-wing masculinity influencers like Andrew Tate taking advantage of the isolation that COVID brought and giving young men someone to blame, women, liberals, feminists. We need to do a lot of work to stop this hemorrhaging and also understand as much as we can what's causing it. What's causing it is you have demonized young men for the better part of 2 decades, and now they're starting to get fed up with it.
Not just young men, all men. Literally all men. Everybody.
Well, but the young men get the brunt of it because, like, they're like once you're
trans men, Steve.
Well, see, that's the problem. Is the Democrats are only counting people who identify as male. So all of the males who are
feminists,
all of the biological men who are voting for Democrats now identify as female, so they don't count. They don't count as a male demographic anymore.
Yeah, probably not. No, I find it interesting though because you got David Hogg there, who is probably one of the biggest bitches in the Democrat Party, arguing about that. It's just hilarious. Like, do you think that half the reason people like it because of people like you? Like,
like you don't like guns, so, and young guys like guns, so
yeah.
We lost Dag. Yeah, it's and we've talked about it at multiple times over the last year. Like the number of women who say they can't find a man to date who isn't conservative because all of the males who are Democrat are these giant fucking cucked pussies that women don't want anything to do with, and men, actual men, see that and they're like, yeah, I don't want anything to do with that either. Like, if you look at the way the parties are breaking out, there is kind of basically everything right of full on woke progressive is considered toxic masculinity, and all guys are just like, all right, well, then I'll just be toxic. I'll just have toxic masculinity and be either libertarian or conservative because I don't want to deal with those fuckers. Like they're useless.
Yeah, there was a second report that was a little bit different. This one that I saw is like, this is the Republican Party is apparently the men's party because there's if you look by there's another examiner,
right. Married men, married women, and unmarried men are all like the only demographic the Democrats are doing well in are the harpies. Like
yeah. Well, I think that the party, I'm curious, and I think that this is actually happening, is that you're seeing a lot of the mainline gay switching over the Republican Party because the activists and the trans have taken over so much in the left parties that they're like, I have nowhere to go now, and they're actually pushing them out now because they don't view things the same anymore.
I don't think that's happening as much as you think because there are like
it's happening though.
I mean, yeah, there's probably some number, but I do think that they're still kind of true believers because if you ask them, like, if someone like transitions or whatever, like, or do they become like they may not like it, but they'll be like, I respect their decision, but like they
yeah, but the problem is that you have Trump saying you're welcome in the party, so they are coming over to the Republican Party because of that.
Well, okay, so you got to understand that you have the difference. You have the gays, and then you have the gays, and and the gays are getting fed up with the T plus part of it.
Yeah,
very much.
The gays are the super activists, like, and that's the gays on both the male and female side that are getting fed up with.
And then they have the problem with
I can't tell you how many articles I've read over the last year from like former super progressive, like activist type lesbians who have seen the way the transitioning stuff is being done, who have seen the way like medical care for children is being handled, who've seen the way that like mental health care for children is being handled, and they're like, this is not right. Like, we are fucking.
Didn't one of them have like a son who I believe I remember the article. Like,
I did an article on that.
Yeah, there was a lesbian couple who had a son that was like basically pushing back against that because they were trying to get him to transition or something like that.
So they transitioned the one son at the behest of the therapist, and then the other son started acting out, and
they were like, just transition him too,
saying that he wanted to do it too. And then they realized, oh shit, like neither of them should have done this, and so they stopped going to the therapist. They detransitioned both of them, and like started to realize like this is not right. Like this,
they caught it early too. Like they were. I think they didn't actually go through with the physical like changes. So
right. They had socially transitioned, whatever the fuck. That
Yeah, I mean it's a problem. So I got something here. A good white pill that I noticed the other day. Let me find this one. This woman now realizes that what the government's.
No, I seriously think about this every single day, and I'm sorry if I sound stupid. If somebody has $500 and they've already paid taxes on it, and they give it to me, so now just because it goes from them to me, I also have to pay taxes on it, even though they just did. And then not only that, but anytime I spend one of those $500, I'm going to also pay another tax fee on whatever item I'm buying. And then whoever I bought the item from will have to pay taxes on the money they just
Actually, your brain break here
from what I bought. So like, if it
right there.
So every single dollar, like, if a dollar is 100 cents, hold on. Just forget it.
She may be a brunette,
like,
but
you
she's
see
like
her brain
spiritually
break.
blonde. She is spiritually blonde, I can tell.
Math is hard.
You know what?
She may be a brunette, but she's spiritually
That's why
blonde.
women
Yeah,
struggle.
she's definitely
That's why
blonde.
women struggle.
And why people put music like that underneath those things just drives me nuts because all I could hear was the music.
Yeah.
But like, you see her brain breaking, and I think that's what's happening with a lot of like what we were just talking about with the whole demographic switch over, and you have the mainline. I call them the mainline gays that are like sick of what's going on, and they're moving over. But the problem is that everybody's calling them right wing now. Like anything that's happening to the right wing, like these people aren't really right wing; they're just sick of the bullshit, right?
But that's the way it's always been. You either toe the line, absolutely, and you do whatever they say, when they say, however they say, for no more reason than because they say, or you're a right wing, white supremacist, toxic masculinity, whatever. You're all the things. You're a racist, bigot, all of it, and that's the way it works. Like
yes,
yeah, and that's a lot of people
just embrace it.
A lot of people are starting to embrace it. They're like, well, fuck you. If I'm going to be a bigot, then I'll just be a bigot. Like, I can do that. If you're going to call me one anyway, I may as well. Like, what's the point of being labeled that if I don't get to enjoy all the benefits of it? So.
Very much.
Dag, what you killing today?
Chickens.
No possum.
I was telling you guys. No possum. I was telling you guys I did that yesterday. Woke up yesterday and like one of my went out to one of my chicken tractors. And you guys with critters, like you probably have this where it's like I just going out there. I just had a feeling that something was going to be wrong, you know. And it's even like the day like where I was moving this chicken tractor. I try to like keep it close to my house, you know, because of predators. And I had it a little further away than I typically had it. And dude, I'm talking like 10 feet, not that far. But when I put it there even, I'm like, ooh, you're playing with fire, buddy. You know? And so I come out the next morning and it's just quiet. A little too quiet, as they would say in the olden time TV, you know? And I walk around the other side of the cage there, and there's just a foot and a gizzard laying outside the cage, just clean. I mean, very like cleanly removed. Like, you know, if I was a little crazier, I'd be like, alien. But I found a small hole, like it tore a hole in the 2x4 wire fencing that I have around the edge of it, and drug it out. And I was like, oh fuck, man, what the hell did this? And I was thinking maybe possum or whatever. So yeah, so last night I went out about a little after 8, not that late, to set up my game cam and everything on the coop after, you know, I repaired the damage, and there's fucking possum out there, red-handed, sticking around on the outside of it. So, you know, I fucking shot him, and I was like, okay, good, thanks, because now I can actually sleep tonight and not have to worry about something coming and attacking my bird.
What are you gonna do with that? Possum's good eating, I hear. I personally have never, we've never been that poor, but I have heard it.
I just chucked him in the compost. It was late, and I was tired. But like, I don't know, man. I'm kind of in the sense, like, I've even seen like on one of those fucking stupid shows, you know, Backwoods People or whatever, where dude was like eating possum, and it didn't look bad. Every time I've killed one, I'm surprised at how much weight there is to one. Like, they're hefty. They look small and light. Yeah, but they're hefty fuckers. So I'm like, man, his fur actually looked really cool. You know, I was like, dude, like, I wouldn't even mind like skinning it and keeping the pelt, but again, that's late. You know, not too
I
much
hear
to
they're
do
like,
today.
I hear they have a similar taste as like a really big squirrel. So I
I'd
don't
buy
know.
that.
Like I said, I've never had possum before. I don't.
When I saw it and squeezed the trigger, I was 100% sure it was a possum. But then 2 seconds after I shot it, my brain starts going, oh God, I hope that wasn't like a neighbor's cat. I got up to it and couldn't inspect. Like, okay, definitely a possum. You know, I was sure. But on my way out to the chicken coop, I saw 2 cats that weren't ours. So obviously neighbor's cats coming and hanging around.
You like
No, I don't.
Yeah, I'm allergic.
I try not to
cats,
do that.
Man. I would have plugged them.
Did I tell y'all about the possum that our dog brought in one night?
I think so.
Live or dead?
Didn't you say something
It
like?
You never know with a possum. They'll trick you. That's their whole shtick.
It was very much dead. I
always give them the double tap.
I went out and checked it afterwards just to make sure.
Like zombies.
It was very much dead. Stephanie had put the dogs out. They had been up moving around, and so she put them out so they could pee and everything. And she let them back in, and when she let them back in, she felt something touch her leg, and Blade was carrying something, and she just like, outside now, get back out. And so he turned and went back out, and he dropped it, and then she let him back in the house, and she like cleaned him up, and I went and checked, and yeah, it was a little possum. I don't know, I'm not sure how it got. I guess it just crawled through the fence or the fencing or whatever, but it was investigating to see what was going on, and he treated it like all of his other 2 chew toys and ripped the guts out of it. So that was, it was definitely dead. That was pretty crazy.
He's bringing you guys dinner, man.
Man, like every chew toy that we get him, he just like surgically tears all of the guts out of it. And he did the same thing to that fucking possum. It was nice. It was disgusting. Oh, so anyway, that was a interesting night.
I bet.
Nice.
Yeah, this I'm assuming this is Carlos because he's a big Bill Maher guy. Bill Maher being labeled the most trusted person in media says a lot about the show. Like, Bill Maher is now considered right wing by a lot of leftists. Like, that dude could not be further from right wing. But but Bill Maher is now considered right wing by a lot of leftists. Like that's very indicative of the shift. Like. Like, I mean, and it's for no more reason than he will not toe the line unquestioningly on every single narrative that they have. Like, that's the law.
We'll actually go around to that narrative eventually. He just won't immediately toe that line. Except for the whole.
He doesn't do it. Like, he doesn't do
the tea thing. He won't play with the tea thing that much.
Yeah, I mean, there's.
But a lot of stuff, he might bitch about it, but then he'll later be like, "Oh yeah, that's right," you know, because
Bill Maher is a very smart guy for whatever you want to think of him, and I don't know that he toes the line on a lot of those topics so much as he just doesn't talk about them. Like he says what he's going to say about them, and gets all the
trouble
backlash.
for the whole take. He got in trouble for the whole "take a penis, leave a penis" joke. So I think that kind of put him on the outs with the T group.
I didn't hear that one. That's hilarious.
I mean, it wasn't even good. Like, I heard the bit. He was like, "Oh, they could just have a program, or like take a penis, leave," like, like that. And it wasn't even like a very good joke. But yeah, he caught a lot of fucking shit for it. I'm like, yeah, Jesus Christ, it's obviously a joke.
That's the problem. Is that side can't joke. Look at what Chappelle did. Look at that story Chappelle did in his last thing, or the two specials ago, where he's like talking about how his friend killed him, her, whatever it was. And he was, he was just talking about that. He joked about stuff about transgenders being a little nutty once in a while, but he didn't say anything bad about this person. And he got totally raked over the coals because he didn't 100% toe the line and say it was perfect, great, wonderful, and awesome. Right?
Yeah, I mean, that's the long and short of it. Like, he was telling a story about his experience with this trans person and then befriending that person and having them on his tour and like helping them learn how to do stand-up and everything else. Like, it was a really kind of an endearing story, but because he made jokes about trannies throughout the course of the story, and like what's fucked up about it is he's talking about like the jokes that he's telling to this person. Like, these are him.
Like, they were joking together. Yeah.
Right. He made a friend with this trans person, and like he's telling about the way that they would rib each other back and forth, and like the way that they would fuck with each other. And because he's just telling the trans jokes in the context of this is how we would fuck with each other, but just because he tells the trans jokes and then now he's a transphobe, is like, it was, I watched that special. I watched that special after all the like backlash came out. I was like, all right, if he's fucking with the trannies, I gotta see this. It's like, oh my gosh, this is like a really
milk toast.
It's a really like endearing, kind of sad story. Like, what's offensive about this? It was nuts. I mean,
what was offensive to them was the fact that he didn't say that it was the best choice this person could have made, and that they were thrilled and happy and lived forever because they made those choices. That's why they were pissed. He actually told the truth.
Yeah.
You can't tell the truth.
Oh, speaking of Dave Chappelle, he's fits the demographic. Black male voters in Michigan are frustrated by President Biden and cite millions sent to Ukraine as a slap in the face. And that this is true not just in Michigan, but kind of across the board. The male demographic is in the 2020 and 2022 elections. Those were the biggest shift from Democrat to Republican. Like, the Democrats are really doing a good job of pissing off black men.
Well, and like there's
not everybody.
There's some reports like saying that like if Trump is the nominee for Republican, which obviously that's what it's probably going to happen. There's going to be a shift. More black guys coming over to vote for Trump. I guess I guess they're identifying with him. Like like him, all the court cases, all this kind of stuff. They're like, like this is we feel you, brother. We know how it is. We hate the system too. Like,
well, and also the problem is like this right here is kind of indicative of the majority of like Democrat voters.
Vegans are better than God. That's right. Every day, vegans are out there trying so hard not to exploit animals. When it's time to buy food, they try hard not to pay for any violence. They prefer to eat plants instead of the corpses of animals who didn't want to die. Vegans are out there also trying hard when it's time to buy clothing, not to buy things like wool, feathers, silk, or leather. What's God doing all this time? Fuck all. That's right. God is sitting up there watching us suffer. Vegans are better than God. So you have a choice. Do you want to be more like vegans, or do you want to be more like God, who is evil, cruel, or just plain lazy, or maybe even dead? What do you think?
I think she's going to be enjoying hell.
I mean, if she's, I mean, yeah, she says or dead, right? But otherwise, she's seeding that God exists. So I don't know. Somebody's making the fucking plants grow, right? Like,
like, oh, your plants. How are your plants growing? Like, if you're saying he's controlling like you're literally saying God controls everything.
I love the Dag's back there sharpening.
I know, that was the perfect timing to play that. Fucking sharpening my fucking instruments for animal murder.
Hey, well, hold on. So, Dag, can we do one of those reaction videos where you're killing chickens while watching that?
I mean, that would get taken down off YouTube so quick.
I know, but we got to do it. Like, come on.
I mean, there's a lot. I mean, I've watched a lot of videos of people doing it. You know, I mean, it's maybe it's about context. Maybe if you're doing it as like a homesteading farming video, they're okay with it.
But let's just do it as an opener, like one of the opening things where she's sitting there talking and Dag's just like chopping heads off of chickens and shit. I mean, that
put them side by side.
Yeah,
that's not terrible.
Like the reaction videos, and then we'll have Trey sitting there watching it, like doing those stupid reaction videos. God, those things.
We need to get that chick on the line and have her do a reaction video to it.
Like, would you like to come on our show and tell us a little more about veganism?
Go ahead and tell us what part of this you have a problem with.
Tell us a little more about veganism while Dag butchers chickens and I sit here and eat beef jerky or deer jerky the whole time.
You guys want to see the chickens?
Yeah.
Obviously.
Do they know they're being murdered yet?
And it's what they live for.
They know something's up. They spent the night out here. We got 20 of them. Hey guys, they're a good batch of birds. Heavy.
Make for a good batch of meat.
Did
you load them up on did you load them up on plenty of steroids so they'd be bigger and beefier?
Costco chickens that are like
a bunch of corn.
Too big to
fatten them up good on some corn. I'm actually trading several of them for beef. It's probably in the 50s right now. It's supposed to get up into the 60s today. It's supposed to be actually pretty cold. So it's a good day for processing animals. Because it's like,
50s and
60s cold.
Yeah. Dude, it's like 32 degrees here.
If it doesn't get out of the 60s for the day, that's pretty cold for us. Yeah.
Yeah. I drove home through a wintry mix again. Go from 3 straight days of 50 degrees back to below freezing and fucking snow. Whenever I die, I go to hell. My first order of business will be to hunt down Mother Nature.
Well, you did choose to live in. You could come down here and be in the warm.
I guess.
So you guys want to learn more about Canada?
You'll just learn to hate the summer. Like that's all.
Maybe.
Down here.
Here we go. Oh, maybe. There we go.
Hi, I'm Canadian, where we're trying to make it almost impossible to get any kind of vitamins or supplementation, but it's totally legal to have up to 2.5 grams of heroin or methamphetamine. Hey, I'm Canadian, where if you disagree with our political views, we'll call you a white supremacist, freeze your bank accounts, and beat you with horses in the street. Hey, I'm Canadian, and we don't like opposing views here, so you actually can't even watch independent news media on social media platforms, and we're about to take down podcasts and even Netflix shows that the government doesn't like. Yes! Hi, I'm Canadian, where it's way easier to get medically assisted suicide than an MRI or psychotherapy. Hi, I'm Canadian. It's really cold here. We have some of the coldest winters, which is why we are pursuing net zero, because we actually use fossil fuels to heat our homes, and we don't have alternative ways of heating our houses. That word? Hi, I'm a Canadian, and if you're a journalist that even thinks about interviewing one of our high-ranking officials, you'll go to prison.
We got to get Mark out of there from 2-Bit. We got to get him out of Canada.
Yeah.
No, he's in Australia. He's down under.
Jason.
No, Jason is. Mark isn't.
Oh yeah, Mark.
We got to rescue Mark, man. I told when I said that to,
we can liberate Canada.
Jason,
I mean,
we can't even liberate our own country, man. What are you talking about?
Look, see, we liberate Canada. We annex it into there was a good graphic I saw. It was like a sort of a meme. It was like sort of like Jesus country, and then like a Canada, and like we took like all but like
if you
small
so
portion.
if you look at like the population numbers in Canada, it's all kind of centrally focused right around like the Great Lakes area in there, and then some in Vancouver. But like once you get outside of those areas, the rest of Canada is like Alaska. It's all pretty cool. I've actually got some friends that live in Canada in the more rural parts of Canada, and like they don't have to deal with a lot of that shit. They're kind of like whenever we talk about stuff that goes on in the cities, and like me and Tag and Clyde don't have to deal with any of that kind of stuff because we are incredibly rural, and like we only see cities as passing through, and we're like, fuck y'all, bye. Like that's how anybody who doesn't live in the big population hubs of Canada kind of lives. But yeah, I mean anybody that's I guess like anybody that's in that 86% that lives in that area, like you're pretty fucked.
Yeah,
I think there's still laws, but there's no one around to enforce them. You know, so
I just find it interesting how they're blocking social media now. There, I mean, it's Canada. You got to look at it this way, and it's always because I've lived so close to Canada my entire life. Whatever they're doing, whatever they're doing, we're only 5 to 7 years away from here.
Was the social media thing either during or new or as a result of the trucker thing? It's a lot of that.
It's a result
talking
of
about the trucker thing, or have they've kept all those rules in place as government tends to do? Is that what's up since the trucker?
No, they
incident?
did it because of the trucker thing. Yeah, they
right. Okay,
and they just continued it. Yeah.
But there have been some big lawsuits. I know one of Tommy Salmon's friends was involved in a lot of the lawsuit stuff, but his bank account still, I think it's still frozen from that time. Like,
dude, that's crazy, man.
The dude that went after him, his bank account's still frozen. I have to ask Tommy. I don't remember if it was up until, if it's not still, it was up until like early last year.
Yeah, I mean, Canada's like full on, like this
Tommy.
is what totalitarian fascism looks like. Like it's Canada. That's for all of the Antifa out there that are wanting to fight fascism. Just look north. That's what fascism actually looks like.
Yep.
But bro, the healthcare.
They have great healthcare.
Dude, it sucks too because not even that long ago, man. Like in so many ways, it's like Canada was like, you know, just like really cool and shit, bro. You know, but like they've really gotten like, and I mean they've always been like, you know, America Junior anyhow. But like it seems like the last few years they've gotten really, really fucking gone really Australia, you know, really fucking like. But and I'll say this, like I used to be a bit familiar with a lot of like Canada's laws between like provinces and everything because I was like into pot. And like 20 years ago, Canada was kind of like the new Amsterdam or parts of Canada in the sense that if you wanted to go on like a pot vacation, you used to go to Amsterdam, right? And that's relatively expensive going to Europe. But some places in Canada started to get kind of cool with weed, like Vancouver and shit, for instance. And so you could go like take trips there. And so it'd be like Vancouver, you could go like they had like you couldn't buy pot in like the cafes, but you could bring it there and smoke it and hang out, and it was cool. But like the guy, what was his name? He ran Cannabis Culture magazine in the BC bookstore. His name's escaped me, but anyhow, he was a big like figure in like the pot movement. But he got arrested in Saskatchewan for drug trafficking for passing somebody a joint. Like, 'cause Saskatchewan had like such insanely awful pot laws. So it even varied a lot then to then, like province to province or city to city, I believe, as well with how the shit goes. So it's always hard for me to when I say, oh, Canada and then X blanket statement, but that might have even changed a bit because I mean, if you got like Trudeau in there who's like totally like totalitarian and shit, right? Then it seems like he'd kind of try to more federalize or anti-federalize, depending on what definition you're using. The different provinces where you just want one government that has more control versus states have control, right? So I don't know if that's changed more recently, where maybe the provinces don't even have as much control over their own destiny.
Yeah. I don't think. I
think Trudeau is more or less going full dictator. Like,
yeah, that seems to be the way it's gonna go.
Castro would just say
Castro's son.
Yeah. He's taken after his father. That's for sure.
Yeah,
he'd be proud.
Yes.
Well, speaking of some fascist bullshit, Democrats have proposed a bill to prohibit militia activity.
I love how they link it to January 6th when it had literally nothing to do with January 6th.
Yeah.
I mean, the only militia there was Antifa.
And
they won't even admit that they were there.
The good news is the militia don't answer to Democrats, so fuck
And
you
the
all.
Have any of you guys do you guys watch Fargo? Have any of you guys seen the new season of Fargo?
I have not. I watched the other ones, but I haven't gotten around to the new one yet.
I wasn't a huge fan of the previous one with Chris Rock, and then this last one, it kind of, in my opinion, and you guys are gonna think I'm a real fucking dummy for not having already like known this, but I believed as much as you can believe when something says, based on a true story, that there's at least some gem of like truth to it. And if you know from Fargo, at the beginning of every episode, they say, this is absolutely true, 100%, fucking to the detail, except we changed the names, right? Did you know that none of it's fucking true? It's all totally made up and fabricated? So, like, I get, like, halfway through this season, and I'm like, I don't buy this shit for a fucking second that this is a true story. So finally, something I've been meaning to do for a while, but kind of wanted to keep enjoying the show that I liked, so I didn't want to look too far into it. I said, I'm going to look up and see how true these stories actually are. And it's like, not at all. Nada. Zip, zilch. So I'm like, okay, now I feel extra pissed off about being preached at for, this half a season about fucking domestic abuse and, libertarian dictator sheriffs, like just things that don't exist, like don't go together, and then like, so it's like in 2019 supposedly, and they have kind of like a Bundy Ranch kind of scenario going on. I'm like, okay, yeah, I would have heard about this, like if this actually.
Well, for that to actually happen,
you
you
have
have
to
to
have a
libertarian get elected into office, which will never happen.
Right, or a libertarian be again a sheriff who is like a horribly abusive, wife-beating dictator. Those things just don't tend to go together,
A libertarian would have to be married, which doesn't happen either.
So, damn it, Steve, I hate you so much. You're getting hung up on the wrong part here. But John Hamm did a great job of being a North Dakota evil sheriff. I will say that he is ruggedly handsome. That's for sure. They did like a segment where instead of doing like live actors, they used puppets. And this is another part that I'm like, okay,
whoa, hold on. They used puppets.
Yeah, so basically, in order for this abused woman to tell her story, she had to do it by building and telling it through puppets, through puppetry. Okay? And it took me a second. I was like, why did they do this? And then I was like, because John Hamm's kind of a likable guy, and even probably having him be a domestic abuser as an actor might be, pushing it. So when it actually came to molesting, they had to act it out through puppets instead of having John Hamm act out the molestation part.
Right.
So
It's fine,
I think
for him to be a womanizer in Mad Men, but no molestation or beating. That's
yeah. They had a scene where they implied he was beating the woman, but I don't think they actually showed him beating the woman. Yeah.
Would have been a lot cooler if they did.
Yeah.
Sorry. Leaks out from time to time.
Oh, fuck. So, Yeah.
Speaking of women being terribly mistreated, apparently the all of the like Planned Parenthood and those type of abortion clinics and stuff got a mass influx of funding immediately after Roe versus Wade was overturned, but the rage funding has dried up, and now they're struggling for funds, because it turns out that they don't actually care about that stuff. They just care when it's like when they're supposed
Election
to care.
season.
Yeah. As is often the case, Democrats don't actually care about anything unless they're told that they need to care about it. So.
Yeah, they just need to be reminded again next time that there's an election, like that they want to influence, then it's just going to be.
That's why they have to keep charging. That's why they have to keep charging Trump with new bullshit, even though none of it has any substance to it. They have to keep charging him with new bullshit.
Speaking of,
keep bringing up J6. They have to keep doing all this stuff because their voter base is so fucking stupid and short and like has such a short memory that they don't remember what it is they're supposed to be mad about unless they're being told about it every single fucking day. So like that's
and if it's attached to somebody like Trump, like the recent charge, or well, it's just not really a charge. It's a the civil lawsuit. Like getting paid, like she's getting paid $83 million because she claimed that they found no like criminal charges, but they allowed her to pursue the civil case. They fast tracked the civil case, and then now they're ordering him to pay $83 million. And apparently he just got walked out in the middle of the
he's gonna appeal it. Like there was literally no substance to any of it, and like they.
But he may get the Alex Jones treatment, like not his appeal get rejected and everything. So.
And they're just doing it so they can say he was convicted of. They're just saying that
Yeah, they've been saying he's convicted of rape.
They're trying to use it to say that he's a convicted rapist, even though that's not what the charge was. Even though that's not what the lawsuit says. Even though there's literally no charges. Even though there's literally no evidence whatsoever. Have you seen?
But their voters are too stupid because now they're thinking that because a criminal case would never. Unless it was a penalty to the state, there would never be a fine issued that would go to the person. Like if it's a criminal case, they're never going to say you have. The state may say, okay, you have to pay us, and then we're going to distribute the money to the families of something or some event or whatever. But they would never say you have to pay. Them because of. In a criminal case.
I've got it bookmarked somewhere. I gotta find it. There's like an entire catalog of all of the claims that she's made, and then also all the like really weird off the cuff crazy shit that she said. That like
sexy rape or whatever.
Like the dress that she claimed she was wearing hadn't been or didn't even exist at the time. She has all of these very explicit details, but she can never remember when or who or like where. Like she remembers all of these really explicit details, but she can't remember like the actual important details about like just general where, who was there, what happened. Kind of like it's her inconsistency.
How did you get to that point? Yeah,
fucking insane. Like it's I've got to find it because there's this whole catalog that just basically lists like all of the crazy fucking shit that she said, and like none of it adds up. None of it makes any sense. Like nothing about her Trump story made sense. Whenever she like says that he like finger banged her or something, he like almost threw up in his mouth. He's like, oh, God, like just the thought of.
But yet Biden actually does that to somebody, and they totally ignore that story.
Right, just brush
completely
that completely
ignore that story. That never happened.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah, something here.
Yeah, it's fucking insane.
This is my favorite thing of the day right now. Thomas Massey says on here. This guy is like asking what libertarians are dumbest about. Thomas Massey says politics. That
See,
was
Dag, you had to say something about libertarians. Steve's like a fucking dog with a bone. He won't let go of it.
Nope, I won't.
We have
I know.
We reeled him in. We
we
reeled him in.
spent 2 years doing our damnedest to not talk about libertarian politics at all, and now Steve wants to fuck that up. This is-
Literally, there
Okay,
was
I'll
one
stop
thing
now, I
Clyde said to
promise.
me when he brought me on this show. Is he goes, "We don't talk about libertarian stuff." That was the one thing he told me.
Okay, to be
We
fair,
talk
I was
shit about
never
each other,
given that.
and we don't talk about libertarian stuff.
To be fair, I was never given that speech. I'm sorry.
that was our
Here, Steve. Let me say this: if you want to talk about libertarians, that's fine. You have to say which that's going to be, and then we're going to have a lot of really boring conversations for me to basically tell you that you don't know what libertarianism is, and nobody wants to fucking hear it. So let's just not do that. Let's just be cool, man. Come on. Oh, and I'm not even saying you're wrong about any of it. You just
found that
really
as a
see
funny
the
tweet,
political libertarians. That's all. That's all. Which I am not into the political libertarianism or any of the people up there who claim to be libertarian, new political. I probably don't follow. I probably don't agree with, because in like the paradox of having a libertarian dictatorial sheriff, as much as part of me wants to see a libertarian, one of those things that's not hard to miss, because it's like a libertarian cop. It's just a.
See, this is God's way of saying we're not supposed to be talking about this because you keep cutting out. We don't know.
Dag,
So
I apologize. Sorry.
Now we can speak about something that's not about libertarian. This is definitely not libertarian. So Alabama, this was in the news. So many leftists are so mad right now because they're upset because Alabama just did a nitrogen execution. I don't know why they chose nitrogen, but this is they're describing it here. Execution. This is for someone. I think he raped and murdered. I know he murdered them, but I think he raped and murdered a woman. So it says the execution took about 22 minutes, and Smith appeared to remain conscious for several minutes. For at least 2 minutes, he appeared to shake and writhe on the gurney, sometimes pulling on the restraints. This followed by several minutes of heavy breathing until breathing was no longer perceptible. And they're so upset because they're like, oh, executions, oh no, like the and you know,
I don't understand why we have to have all these humane ways of killing people when you can just put a bullet in their head and be fucking done with it.
And it cost about what, $1?
Firing squad was very effective. You didn't have any failure to kill them. Like
I feel like it's humane. I feel like it's the most humane way.
Right? The guillotine worked pretty damn well. Like, yeah.
a little messy, but
like, be real still. You're gonna feel a slight pinch, and that's it.
There'll be a slight pinch in your neck, and then it'll go away.
Like, yeah, I feel like there's way more. Have you seen some of the stuff where they like do the chemical injection where they?
I will say though, they had to maintain the guillotine because if you don't have a sharp guillotine,
that fucker gotta be sharp.
Yeah, but depends on what the crime is.
Oh god.
If I ever got to the point that I was going
you
to
make it dull,
I'd be like, can we just can the warden just come in and put a bullet in my fucking head? Like, do we really have to go through all the rigmarole and bullshit? Like, if it's that serious, you can give me the gun and I'll do it my damn self. Like, I'd rather not get injected with some fucking bullshit or do any of this stuff. Like, just let's make it quick and efficient. That's. I mean, hell, we're all humanitarians. Dag's not torturing chickens. He's quick, clean kills. That's
the goal, anyhow.
Real quiet all of a sudden.
I got to jump in. I was on mute because it's windy out here. It sound windy.
Yeah, it's windy.
So in the last couple minutes here, we'll go and my pain for the Lions. Win a game. Don't put in the kicker. Why would you do that? That makes sense. You
just kick
two times. Go for
to
fourth
OT. Go to
fourth
OT.
and 2, 4th and 1, and you don't put in your kicker, and you don't get the 6 points that would have tied the game, and and
Just
you
go
lose.
to OT. You know, like
And you lose. It's typical Lions fashions of losing. Like, they can't just lose a game, like, because they both played really well. They just got outplayed. They lose a game because they do dumbass shit. Like,
I mean,
I'll see people saying Dan Campbell should be fired. It's like, well, after you had
no.
best
He shouldn't be. I
He's saw people saying it. I don't. Like, what? That's a fireable. Like,
yeah, because they'll do a better job. See, I'm fighting saying something else here about a certain party saying the same thing, but
okay.
You guys nip that in the bud right quick. There
come on. But I mean, like, you can't fault him. I mean, he got him to that point. He just made 2 bad calls on his team. That's all.
Like watching the game, you want to be like, the reaction is, come on, man, act like you've been there. Except that they haven't, and he hasn't. And like, obviously, like that's that. When you talk about it with like young teams every year, like every year you have that young team that makes the playoffs and they do something really fucking stupid and they lose. It's like, okay, yeah, like that's what young teams do. Or you've got a first-time coach that, they make it further than what anybody thought they would, and they do something dumb. And it's like, yeah, that you have to learn and grow, and that's part of the process. And I mean that the Lions aren't going to like take a massive step back next year, short of something catastrophic happening. They're probably going to get healthier on the defensive side of the ball. They're probably going to figure stuff out. I mean, like they've got Hendon Hooker, who I thought was the best quarterback in the draft, and the only reason he fell the way he did is because he was hurt and he was not going to play at all this year. Like, he's the guy that's going to be coming in for Goff in a couple of years. So, you're going to be fine going forward. Keep your coaching staff in place. Build on the success that you've had this year. Like that, I mean,
yeah, but Lions fans want to self-sabotage. Like they're like, yeah.
Well, and that's like as much as that pisses me off that like the Packers didn't suck and ended up making the playoffs, and now we're not going to have a good draft pick. Like, okay, we made big steps in the right direction, and then they let the defensive coordinator go. It's like, what the fucking?
I wish last night. I really wish last night that would have been Lions Packers. That would have been a much more fun game. But the Lions in that they did not come back out the second half. That second half they didn't do anything. They couldn't complete a pass. They couldn't get a run. The first half they dominated like I've never seen them play before. They looked like a professional football team, which I've never seen them do that before.
But I mean, that's what inexperienced teams do. They play well in the first half and they don't close. Like that's it's the story of every wherever Magoo is. Like that's the story of the Falcons when they lost to the Patriots. Like they started hot and they didn't keep their foot on the pedal and they let up and they got beat. Like that,
it was the light. The lights going off.
Did you see the pass that bounced off the guy's face mask?
But they lost focus. They didn't take. You can't win a game in the first half. Like no matter what you do, like you're not going to win a game in the first half. You have to play. You have to play 4 quarters of football, and that's what inexperienced teams with inexperienced coaches do. Is they take their foot off the gas. They let up when they shouldn't, and they cruise themselves right into a loss.
But the people that are calling for Campbell to be fired are just asses. Like it's unbelievable.
They're typical Lions fans is what they are. They know their team sucks and they don't care. Like they will destroy everything about the Detroit Lions franchise and while still claiming to love it.
Yep. definitely. I mean, they will. They'll just. The only word for it is that they're retarded.
Because democracy basically means government by the people, of the people, for the people. But the people are retarded.